Hi everybody, I'm Ali Bagley. I'm a certified life coach and I'm working with my amazing colleagues on part of this coaching summit to help you adapt, manage and thrive through this current pandemic. Now I'm going to be doing this as a presentation for you, so bear with me because I'm going to get the presentation up on the screen and then try and share the screen and then we'll see how that all goes. Okay, bear with me 1 minute. And share the screen and start the slideshow. There we go. Yippee. Okay, the Coaching COVID Summit, dealing with redundancy, with me, Ali Bagley, today, the 30th of November. Now, as I say, I'm a life coach. I'm an NLP and hypnosis practitioner. I'm an author and I'm a storyteller. That's me today. I used to be a project and proposals manager in corporate. Well-paid job, really enjoyed it, got a great deal of satisfaction out of it. Mostly, I felt safe. I had a great lifestyle outside of work, and I honestly thought I'd be doing that until I retired. I wasn't particularly fulfilled at work because inside I'd always had a passion for helping others, something that my job didn't allow me to do too much of. And although I loved writing and my role did include a lot of that, but for proposals, it wasn't the kind of writing I really wanted to do. And if any of you have a passion, you will know that you have to go with that passion. And then COVID reared its ugly head, and I was terrified of being made redundant. I got some coaching to help me with my anxiety and my mindset, and I started to see a whole load of new possibilities. And when I was advised that I was at risk, I jumped right in and took voluntary redundancy. But that period leading up to that was terrifying. I was so frightened of being made redundant, of losing that safety, of losing that income, until I changed my mindset and started to look at it differently. Eventually, it was the best move that I ever made to take voluntary redundancy. I was lucky though. I was able to see redundancy as an opportunity, and my payout allowed me to retrain, to do the work I loved and set up my own business. There are a lot of people out there who aren't so lucky, and I know that that's probably you if you're watching this now. You are possibly at the stage where you're afraid of being made redundant. You could already be on notification that you're going to be made redundant and really worrying about what that will mean to you. You might already have been made redundant and are currently trying to find another job or work out what to do next. I would say to all of you, no matter how scary, no matter how upsetting, no matter how frightening all of this is, and I know that it is, there are many opportunities to be found if you look for them. Even when you have money pressures and need to get working again as soon as possible, keep your eyes open. Change the way you look at a situation. Change it from negative to positive. So, oh my God, I'm going to be made redundant. What am I going to do? Change that to, I'm going to be made redundant. What am I going to do? Simple change. It's vital to maintain good mental health when you're struggling. And there are other things that are going on during this summit that will help you, particularly with your mental health and anxiety. There is one key thing to understand. Excuse me 1 moment, my dog is trying to join in. I have no peace. He has to be there all the time. And here we are, you're hanging there waiting for the one key thing to understand. It's this. Redundancy is not personal. Even if you think it is, even if you believe it is not personal. There are companies out there don't want to make their employees redundant. They may have invested an awful lot of money in recruiting them, training them, getting to the point where they know what they're doing and providing a great service into the business. They don't want to get rid of anybody, but they're in this situation where they have to because they just don't have the finances to keep everybody on. So even if you feel like it's personal. It's not. There are so many restrictions on companies now. Redundancy has to be a fair and transparent process. And if you don't think it is a fair and transparent process that you're in, then you have rights to appeal against that and to raise concerns. Do not let being made redundant take away your confidence. Don't feel like you're worthless or not needed. Of course you are. It's not personal. Do not allow yourself to be a victim. You are as great as you ever were. Rise up and see redundancy as a new beginning. Now, I know this is really hard when you're in the middle of all that upset and all that worry and all that concern. Try to see things in a positive way if you possibly can. If you're really struggling with it, speak to people, speak to your employer, speak to colleagues, speak to friends, speak to family. Try as far as you can to readjust your mindset to see redundancy as a new beginning and not an end. Now, I'm just going to very quickly run through the consultation process. This is in the UK, so if we have people watching who are not in the UK, your processes may be different, and I apologise for that. But as the majority of our audience are UK based, I'm just going to run through this for you, the boring stuff, the stuff you really need to know. So employers decide what process they use for redundancies. It could be by team, by role, by location. Employers must meet with union representatives or directly with you at least once. This can be done remotely or online during this particular COVID situation. You have to be informed about any threat of redundancy to give you time to consider the options there may be. And there are lots of options. And your employer must let you know when your last working day will be so that you can plan towards that. And you must receive a written redundancy notice from your employer. The amount of statutory notice employers should give to you varies. But during whatever the notice period is, the employer still has to pay you. So you can check online for the minimum notice period you're entitled to be given. And the links for doing that will be provided a bit later on in this presentation and in a document that I've uploaded separately in the group for you to download. You can be paid in lieu of notice if the employer decides this is the way they want to do it. This means paying you for the work you would have done during your notice period. So your employment will end immediately with this option, but you will still be being paid for the notice period, usually in a lump sum as a final payment. And throughout the entire process, you should be fully aware of what is going on, what support your employer is able to give you. It depends on the size of the organisation. The larger organisations are probably able to give you more actual help, but even simple things like help with CVs, employment advice, and time off to attend interviews, most employers should do that for you. And certainly time off to attend interviews is something they have to do. And then there's a quick bit about the payment you're entitled to. So statutory redundancy pay, so the minimum you would get according to government guidelines. First of all, to qualify for it, you must have a contract with the business. You must have worked for them for at least 2 years continuously. You must be being dismissed or laid off, so retirement, unfortunately, doesn't qualify for redundancy pay. And employers can offer redundancy to staff who've been at their company for less than 2 years, but they don't have to. If you've been there for less than 2 years, they can just say goodbye, and that's that. So calculating redundancy pay should factor in the length of time you've worked for the business as well as your age. So for the oldies out there, clap your hands, this is great. So between 22 and 40 years old, you'll get a week's statutory pay for every year that you've been continuously at that business. So statutory pay, so not bonuses and overtime and that kind of stuff, just your contracted pay. So for instance, if you've worked for the company for 10 years, your redundancy payment will be the equivalent of 10 weeks pay. If you're under 22 years old, half a week's statutory pay. If you're over 41, yay, a week and a half statutory pay. So if you've worked there for 10 years, you will get 15 weeks of statutory pay as your redundancy payment. But it's capped at 20 years of service. So the most that you will get is the equivalent of 20 weeks of pay, either at times a week and a half, or times a week, or half a week, depending on your age. Now let's talk about your rights, because it's very important that you know your rights. This is sometimes something that people aren't quite so aware of. So you certainly have the right to request any information relating to your employer's redundancy process. So you are allowed to know exactly what's going on. You have the right to a union rep, colleague, or other person at any redundancy one-to-one meeting. You must have at least one meeting with your employer during the process, at least one. And you can appeal a redundancy decision if you feel it's been made on discriminatory grounds, or if you feel that it hasn't been a fair and open process. Your employer has to try to find you an alternative job in the company if you've worked there for more than 2 years, but you don't have to accept it. That's one that a lot of people forget. As long as you are, if there are other jobs available, have a look. The bigger the company, the more likely that's going to be. Have a look, and your employer has to let you apply for that, even if it's above your grade or below your grade. And if you've worked for a business for less than 2 years or don't have any contract with them, as I said, you're not entitled to redundancy pay or any meeting with your employer. But that redundancy must still be done in a fair way. So here are some sources of information and advice. Now, as I say, I have done a sheet with all of these links on for you to download so that you can contact these places directly. Citizens Advice is a good one. CIPD is a human resources function, so go and have a look at that. You can look at staff redundancy on the gov.uk site, and ACAS is a union site that deals with redundancy. So you've gone through that initial stage, you've had your meetings, you know that you're being made redundant and you're now on your notice period. So you've either finished work and you have got some time now, or you're still being paid that notice period to try and find another job or do whatever it is that you want to do. Or you're still working, but you're in your notice period and you know that you're going to be made redundant. So what can you do? You can immediately start looking for a new role, either within the company you work for or elsewhere. I would suggest that you start doing that as soon as you think you're at risk of redundancy, to be honest. Sign up with employment agencies, particularly those who specialise in your type of roles. So there are loads and loads and loads and loads of employment agencies out there. Look for them on the internet. You've probably heard of the big ones that advertise on the telly. I forget what the names of them are right now. At Reed, for instance, there's loads. Go and have a look. Get professional support for any stress or anxiety you have, or to help you decide on what to do next. This is a really key, important point. Don't be struggling, don't be anxious, don't be stressed. You can't solve anything by being worried or anxious or stressed. Get help, talk to somebody. You may be able to get help through your employer. I know that when I was struggling, I worked for a large corporate, and I was able to access free coaching. That free coaching that actually changed my life around. I would go so far as to say practically saved my life and enabled me to learn to love myself again and believe in my own decisions and take my own steps. That coaching was invaluable, and I got that for free through my employer. If you can't get that, try your GP, particularly if you're anxious or depressed, because you might need some help from your GP. And if you can get hold of a life or a career coach like myself, it's always a free first consultation to find out what you need, what help you want. And it's a great investment, to be honest, of the payout that you get to invest in a service that's going to help you to really talk about and decide and understand your next steps. If nothing else, at least talk to somebody that you trust. Get your CV up to date. We're going to go through that in a little while. That is very important. and update your profile on LinkedIn and any job search sites that you use. So creating a CV to get you noticed. This is a vital step in getting a new job. It needs to be up to date. It needs to be looking great. So update your CV to make it current. List all of your qualifications, your experience, everything right up to date. Take out your picture and your date of birth and any data that might prejudice an employer against you, and for GDPD. So it's the data protection thingy. I hope I've got those initials right. I'm not really sure about all of that. But if you leave your picture on there and your date of birth, people can see what you look like and your age. Now, that might be a great thing. Yeah, that might be a plus. But in most cases, I would suggest that you take that out. Certainly if you go through any kind of agency, they will not submit a CV for you that's got your photograph or your date of birth on. Employees don't need to know that. It's not important. Whether or not you can do the job is what's important. So your initial content, the first bit that the potential employer reads, should detail what you can do for them. Not what you can do, but what you can do for them. So how your skills and experience will bring them benefits. If you're applying for a specific job, tailor this section to the job description and any research you've done into the company you're applying to join. If you can demonstrate that you've looked at that, you've researched them a little bit and shown some interest, then that is going to impress them. Include examples of your experience and previous employment that relate to the role that you're applying for. So there's no point in if you're applying for a project management role, putting on there that you used to work in Tesco's at the weekends. That's, it's not important. So remember that an employer isn't interested in your hobbies. I know when I first did CVs 40 years ago, nearly, when I started working, there was always a section on there, what are you interested in? They don't care about your hobbies, your family, or your political leanings. Leave all of that out. They're looking to see if what you have will work for them. Skills, experience, knowledge, training, qualifications, and accreditations. So that's what you put on a CV. And everything of importance has to be on the first page. A lot of times they're not going to read past that. But certainly the important stuff needs to be on there and be engaging enough to send your employer on to the next page. And never provide a CV longer than 2 pages of A4. Prospective employers at the moment are inundated with CVs. Chances are they're not going to read past page 1. So get page 1 absolutely superb. And do a generic CV for employment agencies and for putting onto LinkedIn. So this is a CV that isn't linked to a specific job role that's being advertised, but make it about the job that you would like to get. So imagine that role in your mind and write a CV that relates to that. So if you're looking for a new job, you have to be on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is vital. Unless you are more looking for manual work, so working in Amazon distribution centres, shops, that kind of thing, all absolutely amazing and wonderful jobs and so necessary. LinkedIn is if you're looking for professional roles, so career path roles. This is where employers search for new people. So number 1, make sure that your profile photo on LinkedIn is professional, so no pets or politics. Excuse me a moment. Ooh, heck. Design a banner that stands out and says who you are. So on LinkedIn, you've got your circular profile picture, but there's a banner behind you. Make it look professional. Actually make it look different to the standard LinkedIn banner that you get. It'll be more eye-catching that way. In the profile section, state exactly what it is you are great at. What are you brilliant at? What have you done that is magnificent? What will you do that's magnificent? Let people see that. Remember to add your contact details and upload your generic updated CV. So there is a section underneath your initial, I am Ali Bagley, life coach, blah, 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 that says contact info. Press that button and add your email address, your phone number, your website, if you've got one, your Facebook page, because they're going to want to look at these things. They put them there so that they can access them and go and find them. In the About section, talk about your successes and the benefits your work ideas and input have brought to previous employers. That will help to show a new employer, a prospective employer, what they can do for you. What you can do for them. That's the important thing. And update your experience section only with experience relevant to the role that you're looking for or the job you're applying for. And update your training and qualifications section. And if you can, ask colleagues to write you a recommendation on your profile and endorse you for your skills. Again, when employees are searching, they will probably have a job description that has a list of necessary skills. LinkedIn has a way of matching that with the skills that you have on your profile. So, for instance, if there's 10 skills that an employer is looking for, and you've been endorsed for all 10 of those skills, then you are likely to get matched with that job description and get contacted by the employer or be told about the job opportunity by LinkedIn so that you can apply for it. And ask people to make recommendations. I've got a fair few on my LinkedIn. Go and have a look, see what people say. Who are you and what you can do? And what can you do? Okay, this is another way of looking at redundancy. So you may want to be applying for another job. You might love what you do and want to go back into that industry and do that same thing. You might want to try a different career path, but you're applying for jobs. You need that security. You're not a person who wants to work for yourself. Off you go and go and do that. Go and apply for jobs. Excellent stuff, and get help to do that if you need it. The other option is to do what I did, and I thought about my passions and what I really wanted to do in life and what I didn't want to do anymore. And I decided to make a business out of it and start again. 56, but I started again. So if you're thinking about stuff like this, even if you want to just to get a new job, but also if you want to start a business of your own, write a list of your skills, all the things that you're great at, everything, just everything. It could be that you're a great cook. That might not have anything to do with the job that you're going for, but list all your skills anyway. List your values. Think about the things that are important to you in life. So for me, my values are honesty, trust, appreciation, caring, helping, seeing the best in people. They're my core values. Also strength and motivation. Just list all the values that you have. Think about your experience. What have you done so far? What did you really enjoy? Of all the things that you've done, what did you enjoy the most? So for me, when I look back, I'd got an awful lot of experience as a project and proposals manager. That's what I've been doing for the last 12, 15 years. But what I really had enjoyed the most in all of my experiences was when I was a weight loss coach for Weight Watchers over 20 years ago. I loved it. Absolutely loved doing that. I stopped doing that because at the time it wasn't very well paid to do that. I don't know whether it is now, but it wasn't very well paid to do that. And I had 4 kids and a husband, and I needed a bit more of an income, so I went and got a proper job. But coaching was what I loved to do. So making these lists like I did for myself made that point out for me. Think about all your contacts. Now, whether you're looking for a new job or thinking about starting your own business, think about all the people that you know, all the contacts you've made over the years. Can those contacts help you to find a new job? get in touch with them, ask them what's going on where they work. Is there, any opportunities around? So if you're starting a new business, think about your contacts in the context of, are these potential clients, or are these potential links that you can network with to help you find clients for your business? Think about your passions, the things that you are really, really excited about, the things that you wake up at 4 in the morning and want to get up and do, the things that are you. For me, it's writing and storytelling and coaching, all the three together. I've managed to sort my business so that I can do all three together, which is just amazing. That's my passion: writing, storytelling, and coaching and helping people. Just love it. And I really thought about that when I got made redundant and realised that this was really what I wanted to be doing in my life. What's your ambition? Do you want to carry on working and making your way up the career ladder to be the CEO of a big company? Or is your ambition to simply pay the mortgage and do something you love? There's greatness and wonder in both of those. Have a think about what it is that you really want to achieve. When you've made that list, is there a business there? Is there something that you can do as a business? And even if not, excuse me again, this dog. Even if not, even if you're still thinking that you want to look for another job and apply for other jobs, having made that list, are there changes to your CV and LinkedIn profile that you can make that's going to make you more attractive to prospective employers? So can you actually change direction? Any of you going, that's a bit too scary. That's too scary. I like what I do. I like, just, leave me alone. Just think about this for a minute. Based on your skills and experience, is there a new career path for you? So you might not want to run your own business, but you might want to change the job that you do. So you might have been in project management for years, but think to yourself, actually, what I'd really like to do is get into the proposal management side of things. So do some self-directed training on that whilst you're in your notice period. Add that qualification that you get to your CV, and then apply for jobs in that area. New career path. What's out there that really interests you? Do you want to be an actor? Why not? Have a go. Join some local clubs. Try something new. That might end up being a career for you. You never know. I always remember the story of, I think it was a guy called Buster Merrifield. He was on Only Fools and Horses and he played the original Grandad. And I think he'd only come to acting when he was in his 50s. He was a teacher before that, I believe. And now I might be completely wrong with that, with the name and everything else, but it can be done. You can completely change direction and do what you're passionate about. Is there something you've always wanted to do, but never had the time, confidence, or money to try it? Try it. Have a go. What's the worst that can happen? What is the worst that can happen? You might find out you don't like it after all. You might find out you're not very good at it, but you might find out that you're brilliant at it, that it's something other people want to pay you to do, that it brings you so much joy in your life that you wonder why you didn't do it before. Could you take something part-time and run a side hustle? Now, what I mean by a side hustle is something you do in the evenings or the weekends to make a bit of extra money, but that is about starting to build your own business. So taking something part-time, so a part-time job, 3 days a week or just mornings if you can possibly find them, and then work on your business idea the rest of the time. Can you retrain or increase your skill set? Again, if you've been lucky enough to get a payout, even if you haven't, there are plenty of free courses out there of things that you can learn, different things that you can do, to have a think about that. And what is brilliant is if on your CV for that time period between when you were made redundant And now, which might be a few months, I mean, I've been redundant. I was made redundant in July, so 4 or 5 months. In that period, I can show that I've completely retrained as a coach, NLP practitioner, hypnosis practitioner. I've written 2 books. I'm working on my first children's book. All those things that I have done, you can show that on your CV to say, look, I haven't been idle. I haven't just been sitting around. Look, I've trained, especially if you've done training in the role that you had that you want to go back to, or training in that enhances what you do to lead you in a new career direction. That's really impressive on a CV, to not have a gap, but to show that you've been doing something. Now, some words of caution, especially for those of you thinking of starting a new business with your hard-won redundancy money. Avoid get-rich-quick schemes on the internet or anywhere else. The only people who get rich from get-rich-quick schemes are the people who invent the get-rich-quick schemes. They take your money, they don't really give you anything in most cases. Any free training, and there is loads of it out there, and some of it is magnificent, will inevitably invite you to make a financial investment. Now, I did 2 courses when I was being made redundant, and was made redundant in order to become a great coach. And I paid a lot of money for both of those courses. But they both started with a free introductory day. This is what we do. Do you want to come and join us? And at the end of it, if you do, it's specially discounted if you do it in the next 5 minutes kind of thing. And it's this kind of price. So I've done 2 of those courses. I've spent a lot of money investing in myself to make me the best coach that I can possibly be. That's fine, because it was good training that I bought. I did my research. I found out about the companies that I was going with before I signed up. Just be aware that anything that says free is not necessarily free. It might give you a bit of information, but the good stuff they keep and they charge you for. Do your research when looking to invest in any training, especially training that requires a financial investment. And remember, the paid training is always going to be better than the free training, because they're going to give you a lot more in the paid training. But know what you're buying. Be careful. And one thing I would suggest to you is to do a budget with whatever funds you do have available, to see how long you can survive without benefits or other support. So by doing a budget, you will be able to work out how much you can invest in training and learning new skills and building a business, if that's what you want to do. If you're lucky enough to get a good payout, don't spend it all at once. Don't think, I'm going to get a new car, I'm going to do this, that, and the other. Really stop and think about it first, and think about what you're going to need, what your budget is. And particularly if you're starting a new business, think about the cost of that now. My business is a service business, but in setting it all up and getting it all ready and getting the training I needed, I've spent about £5,000 doing that. So, be careful. Setting up a business is not a cheap thing to do, especially if you want to do it well. So here's some more links for where you can get help, particularly financial help. So job seekers allowance, universal credit, benefits entitlement. Martin Lewis, money saving expert, is brilliant for all kinds of money saving stuff. And Mind and Calm for mental health. Again, these are all on the sheet that is in the group for you to download, so that you can contact any of these organisations directly. So thank you for listening to this presentation. There is another one you can find that I'm doing about relationship issues today, but at 1 o'clock today and 7 o'clock today, I'm doing a live Zoom event. The maximum is 100 people, so you probably need to get in there fairly quickly. But it's Q&A about anything you've seen in this presentation or the other presentation that I'm doing. The links are here. Again, I will put those links onto the group today so that you can click them and join anytime that you want to. So remember, redundancy is not the end, no matter how awful it feels at the time, no matter how frightening. It is an opportunity for new beginnings. I've actually been made redundant twice in my career, and both times it's been absolutely brilliant. What's come out of it has been superb, even though I was super scared about what was going to happen. So that's me, Ali Bagley Coaching. Thank you for your time today, and good luck in your future, whatever choices you make. Thank you, everybody. Hopefully see you over on the relationship issues recording, and see you in the live Q&A sessions at 1 o'clock and 7 o'clock today. Thank you.